So I was at Springsteen on Thursday last week there. It was absolutely awesome. The weather was fantastic out in Boucher playing fields here. And something caught my eye. So always at these sort of gigs, right?
Was it Bruce Springsteen?
Funnily enough.
Was it Bruce in his leather waistcoat?
Yeah, it was. And you normally see people and they wear tour t-shirts, right? You know, so they buy the merch and they have all the tour dates. And normally it's like brown and on the back's all the tour dates. On the front is normally Bruce in front of, I don't know, like a Pontiac GTO or a Charger. Or
something sort of way American.
Something like that. So, interestingly enough, I was looking around, you see loads of these t-shirts. Then there was this guy and he had, and I'll tell you after the intro, because you have to try and guess, a late 90s coupe, right? On his t-shirt, like an outline of late 90s coupe. Not a good one. So late 90s was a great time for coupes because you had like RX-7s and S15s and R34s and all the rest. But no, think front-wheel drive, shitty European cousin.
Not a Calibra.
Well, I will tell you after this. That was like the time we should have had a clock, you know, like countdown.
Yeah, countdown.
I say Calibra, but before Scotty jumps in here and murders me, they weren't actually a bad car. So maybe it's not that. If you say it's a shitty coupe,
no, and well, Calibra would be too old, so younger than late 90s.
Okay, so
early
I'm thinking Ford Probe.
Very, very close. Too old. Not very, very close.
Not that stupid Mazda.
Oh,
MX.
The Cougar or what?
The Freddy Cougar.
Was it the Cougar?
No,
there was a guy cruising about. Why in a brown T-shirt with like an outline of a Freddy Krueger, Ford Cougar? What? I don't know.
Wow.
He's a contrarian.
Absolutely. Here, welcome to the Soul to Scene podcast, episode 35. How did we make it that far? Really, with our levels of organisation?
I was actually asked what episode number this was tonight by someone. And I said 30 or 31. I really didn't think we're that high up.
Do you know why? It's the ones with Rocco you don't count.
Feel that burn?
And look, I've done a couple myself. I've went off piste with a few bits and pieces in there too. But it's good to be back. It's nearly been 2 months and there's been a lot of water under the bridge. I suppose one of the big things was the Drift Games fire. Absolutely horrendous. So I was listening to a great podcast. It's just started recently, an Irish podcast called 50 to 70. A couple of Irish motoring journals. And last week they actually had an interview with Simon Dean. So that was Dean's Motors, and they had the engine block in there, which was burnt out, along with Drift Games headquarters and all the rest. But Simon was booked to do the podcast before that happened. And then he still came on. So I would highly recommend listening to it. It's absolutely devastating story because it's a story of a guy building up. He was very into like a classic cars. It was a classic car, Mark's Wall, very high value, very irreplaceable stuff. And so he spent half the podcast talking about the story of building up a business over the last 10 years, and then
that happens,
and then gone.
It was. Do you know something? We came home after a dub shed and everybody's on the high, everybody's in this, that and the other. And
it was the day after, wasn't it?
Yeah, it takes you a couple of days to kind of relax and get back into things and then sit down to actually take a look at photographs that you took and whatever else. And then you got the news of that there. And as a small business owner who's doesn't even compare to the scale of what those guys are doing, if my small business, if I had a fire in my place, and all I really have in my work is my chemicals, my products, and then Banana M3.
Diesel.
But if I burnt that, but if that place burnt down, I don't know how I could ever recover from it. And the spirit and positivity that those guys seem to have, and it's not just a building they lost, it's not just their cars, and those cars are irreplaceable. Like, insurance will not pay for those cars to be back.
So here's the thing, right? So take the cars in. Some of the cars were like in the car park, but all their history and all the rest was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
But if you have a car without history and without keys, and something that relies on its provenance, it's just
a terrible situation, and I don't know anybody alive that would wish a fire like that on anyone else. But especially when there are people who aren't car enthusiasts who maybe would say, they can replace those or just metal, and you'll find another one. But I think if you do the kind of hobbies that we do with cars, you can appreciate how hard it is to get some of the models, especially the pedigree some of them have.
And the fact that they're also they were hosting a place for like Cafe in a Machine, which we don't really have here. Okay, we have Blackheath Cars and Coffee and all this, but we don't have a particularly dedicated place like the engine block was.
A hub. Yeah.
And I remember I did a track day with trackdays.ie at Mondello. Was it late last year? And I actually got in touch with Drift Games because I thought I'd love to chat to Dave Egan.
Yeah.
And they were actually in US or somewhere because they're a worldwide thing. Because my intention was to go there and see the engine block and then go down to Mondello. It didn't happen, and which that's just devastating.
And you have to actually admire them because, straight away car enthusiasts. And it was one thing that was actually genuinely amazing to see was that everybody in social media were, reaching out and saying, look, let's help these are friends, they're your friends as well. Even if you don't know these people, they've helped get the car scene in Ireland, especially to where it is. And people started GoFundMes, and Dave was straight on saying, look, stop it. We appreciate it, but we do not want your charity.
Yeah, we're not standing on our own feet
here. And
you know
something? Fair play to them because 99 out of other 100 people would have been really appreciative and really thankful and took whatever you could get to help build your business up. And these guys were just like, no, stop it. We're doing this by ourselves. We got here by ourselves, and we're going to fix this by ourselves. So fair play to them. Like, it's just, your heart goes out to them, and we'll all in any way support them where we can. And as soon as they get new ventures going, I know certainly we'll be, me and the boys will be taking a drive down.
Their place was stunning too. Like I'd heard of them, but I'd never actually seen any photos of the place or been to it. Only apart from when the fire happened, and suddenly it was all in the media then, and you were getting loads of pictures from it in social media and all that there. No, I was just blown away how well it looked.
Yeah, it was just unreal. Yeah. And then the engine block, the stuff they had, but it's also something like Drift Games to build a brand like that in Ireland. Yeah. There's very, very few that are like that, and okay, it's different, but I think of the likes of what Adam's done at ILB or what the GTI and I guys do. But if that's something like that was nearly lightning strike excellence, then suddenly be snuffed out. It's getting it to strike twice, and I'm sure you could hear it in Simon Dean's voice. Like, he was just getting he's getting beat by customers that couldn't come and collect their cars because they all have to be individually insurance assessed because they're all even like speaking to his own bank about their own mortgage for his own house.
Yeah,
it's like the personal cost of that. It's just right. So that was a flipping absolute downer after a spectacular dub shed.
After what was, as you said, a spectacular dub shed. It was brilliant.
Which was a million years ago now, because we're recording this about a million months later, and everyone's heard about it anywhere else. But it was good. But the good thing is with having a bit of a gap in the podcast is we've all lots of other things
to talk about tonight.
which is great. It's something which even surprises me. It sort of happened by a happy accident. I have driven many things. I'll talk about them in a while. Some interesting things. I've driven the new Lotus Eletre, electric SUV. I've driven the Ferrari Purosangue, the V12. And I've driven one of the very last Fiesta STs.
Oh?
Yeah. Yeah, and here, that hopefully speaks to your audience. Your reaction there, Ross, that's my reaction too. It's probably the most interesting thing off that list.
Yeah.
Because I had my GR. That's what I immediately compared. It put me in the notion of my wee Yaris. Mm-hmm. Now, the Yaris was a different car, but it was.
But as you said, one of the last Fiesta STs, like, it really is. It's another end of an era thing.
Yeah. So, and do you know what? The last Fiesta it's quite a big car now. The end of the Fiestas, because it's 5-door, and I could actually get in the back almost where I would sit. So actually a much more practical thing than the Yaris, because I think they only do them or did them because it's now the end of. Can't get them anymore. Thrummy wee 3-cylinder.
And did it pop and bang and fart the way that every other Fiesta ST driving around the place does?
No, it didn't actually, because it was a bog standard one, so it wasn't a mount tune or anything like that. only had about 1,000 miles on it or something like that. It was box fresh and brilliant seats, great seats, sort of an upright driving position, but great gear, typical grade Ford gearbox, great handling, bit of a weird pedal layout, but
a big huge dash in front of you, very...
Yeah, you sit over it a wee bit,
yeah.
So the Yaris didn't have a greatest seating position in the world, but do you know what? See, once you were on it, loads of fun.
Yeah.
It's like you can see why every magazine, like I haven't driven, what were they before the ST? It's been the ST now for 15 years.
Fiesta.
Gary's thinking XR2i.
I'm actually thinking RS Turbo, and then there was a gap. There wasn't really a fast Fiesta for it, wasn't it?
No.
They turned into STs.
STs were
Z-Techs.
Yes, there were Z-Tech S.
Yeah, you're right.
And then there were...
It was 1.6 Z-Tech. They were nippy,
but ever since the ST came out, was it mid-2000s?
Yeah.
Late 2000s, it has been the yardstick and then driving that, because I also was listening to our friends at Reload, and they're talking about the most sold cars in Northern Ireland last year, and I think it was a Puma. And I was like, no, that's a crying shame. Now, I don't think a Puma is a bad driving car, but it's not a Fiesta.
No.
And do you know what's also great about the wee Fiesta compared to the Yaris? Much easier to place, and it's tiny. It is, fitting into a parking space, parking the roadside. It's easy to deal with, just very easy to live with, but just good crack. It has a wee bit of specialness about it. Yes, it's cheap plastics and stuff like that, but it has all the right bits in the right place. Nice seats, thrummy engine, steers and drives well.
Yep.
What more do you want?
Never seen a bad review of one.
Yeah. It's a time to buy them, because I think that unfortunately, just the way the market is at the moment, they're maybe hard shifted, and get out there and buy one, because it's
future classic.
It's the last of a generation, So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But I'll talk about some other stuff I've driven.
I'm interested in hearing about this Lotus. I really am.
The Eletre. So my Amira had to go in for its annual service.
Yep.
Its first service, actually. So dropped it in. They said actually it needed... it got brakes under per wear on brakes.
Okay.
So it was getting brakes. Didn't have parts, so waiting for parts. That was fine. And previously I had been provided, the last time it was in for warranty work, and 2 occasions I provided a C1 and a C3. The C3 in auto, and the C1 was a manual. Whether the manual one was far peppier, like the auto was woeful. But so I thought I was going to get a Citroen. Now, I'm not used to these highfalutin, high-value vehicles and dealing with a dealership. And so me driving about in the C1, I was just happy to have wheels, to be honest, because it got me back up the road. But this time it was like, what would you like? Would you like an Amira or an Eletre? And I was like, well, that's an amazing choice.
Yeah.
And that's more because they've got their feet under the table with Lotus and stuff. Things are happening well, and I think things are going well for Charlie's and Lotus. So I said, well, I'll take the Eletre. Great. And at that stage, I just thought I was going to have it for a day, and then they were like, right, no, we're going to get a few reparts sorted under warranty here for you. I was like, happy days, and took the Eletre. Now, I don't know if you've watched Harry's Garage review of it, but he really panned it, only really because of the range. So the range, he said, was really poor, like 230, 240 miles for something with like 105 kilowatt hour battery. Like, this thing is, I don't know, is it 2.5? Is it 3 ton?
It's big. It looks heavy.
Yeah, it's a heavy car. Now, when I got into it, it had a range of about 300 miles, but really refined, really different, felt really high class inside. Incredible sound system. That's one of the best sounding things that I've heard in a while. And it was one of those sort of things you sit in and play with the stereo. Yeah. It's like a really, really good system. That's actually the other great thing about CarPlay, isn't it? You get in and you have all your...
just works.
You just have all your services, all your music all ready to go.
And who would have thought Lotus would put in a really good sound system in the car, considering most of the cars never had radios or any kind of advanced speakers or anything?
I have a bone to pick with them, because it's a KEF system in the Eletre and a KEF system in my Amira. The KEF system in my Amira is dog shit compared to the one in... I should have been out with a flipping screwdriver.
Quick swap over.
Exactly. So... no, I was very impressed with it. I had the family out on it, and it's massive. So a flat floor in the back, as you would expect with an EV. but really quick, really quiet. The only other thing I noticed about it, because all the tech was great and the adaptive cruise and all that stuff just worked a treat, and you have the big screen. You actually have wee driver's displays, which are a really nice touch, sort of like they're only about 3 inch high on the driver and passenger side. Nice strips. So cool. The passenger has a wee side as well, and there's a screen in the centre console where you would have heater vents, in the back seat. So you have screens everywhere, and you can. So great for kids' entertainment and all that jazz. So that's all. That was great. I don't know if you've seen in the pictures, and I'll put. Do you know what looks like the London taxi sign? Mm-hmm. This is the LiDAR sensors. So the LiDAR sensors pop up when you use. I don't know if it pop up over a certain speed or when you use adaptive cruise, but the top one pops up like a taxi sign, which is fine because you don't see it when the car's parked because it's always down. But the problem is you get on the motorway, which is a wee bit crap.
Yeah.
So the point of having all these pop-out sensors is to make when they get fully autonomous driving going super reliable, unlike Elon Musk, who says you can do it with one potato camera. That's all you need.
Definitely not.
Here's my question about it. Unlike other manufacturers like BMW, Audi and all, who make vehicles for all types of purposes, there's performance and there's the executive saloons and the kind of A and B bread and butter type cars. Lotus have always been only for performance cars. Mm-hmm. So does it feel like it's just a cash grab because SUV sells so well and that's where the money seems to be these days? Or is there any hints of kind of Lotus DNA in it when you're driving it?
There's definitely Lotus DNA in it. It felt it totally disguised its weight. It felt really controlled. It has somewhat. And I've driven a pile of the SUVs now.
You would know better than anyone. Like you've had a few Lotuses yourself and plenty of others.
So look, it's those cars aren't even designed, but I don't know if they're designed by the same team. There's a Lotus team in Coventry now, rather than Hethel, that design all that electric powertrain stuff, and then it's all built in China rather than my boat, which was built in Norfolk. So look, they are different, but I think you need to separate. This is like Porsche building the Cayenne. Yeah. This is to save Lotus and give Lotus a future.
Oh yeah, I totally acknowledge that, but I'm just wondering, when you're driving it, did it just feel purely like this is just built to make money and there's no real enjoyment to be had out of driving it? Maybe it's nice to sit in and it's got loads of tech and all that there, or does it have a wee bit of the Lotus feel that you could actually get hustled a bit on a road? Even for a big car?
I don't know if you could hustle it. I tell you what it does have is driving it. One thing all Lotuses have, they have an amazing composure, especially over really broken up roads. And that had that sort of feeling. It's not a floaty thing because it's always a very controlled. So it had that, which was probably enough for me to separate it out from an Ioniq 5. You can't really compare it to the two because one's 50 grand and this is 115 or something like that there, whatever it was. And but a lot of those cars, because they have to carry all the weight, they struggle with the dynamics, and you can feel the weight, and you can feel it. You feel sometimes some of them you can feel every single bush being thumped about, and because they're trying to control the weight. Mm-hmm. The Lotus felt like it was on top of that, so it felt very composed. But I haven't driven a Taycan. That's my expectations of a Taycan, because that's my expectations of a Cayenne. Mm-hmm. So that's how I would. And I would describe some of the Porsches as harsher driving cars.
What was the battery in the Lotus?
Oh, good question. I think they're about 100 kilowatt hours. I can't actually remember, but
you said you were saying 300.
It said 300 in the clock.
Was that recent? How recent was that? When the weather was getting hotter? So I've definitely seen an improvement in our 84.
It was about a month ago. Yeah. So when the weather was still. It wasn't terrible, but I didn't empty it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, and performance-wise, it was...
Performance was spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really... But that's nearly hard to judge because all EV performance is spectacular.
Yeah, it's... The thing about EVs is just that instant torque. Just you put your foot down and it goes. It's just... Said the missus, like, she has the iX, and I genuinely... I love driving it nearly more than anything else. It's... There's something about them. People say they're not involved and they're not this, that and the other, but something, see, for most or commuting.
For daily drivers. They are a solution.
They're phenomenal. I know that Lee on the Reload, she hates the idea of EVs not there. I told Connor I won't take her and Connor or the two of them out for a good drive in an EV sometime, because for the sort of driving she does, I think it would be absolutely perfect. And I think she's afraid to like them.
They are effortless.
It's
as long as you're going somewhere which has a good charging network.
Yeah.
Well, but I think no one maybe leading into it, only on the job she does, that it might be perfect as you say. But like you can't force people to like them.
No. But you know something? I was kind of the opinion that we're not ready for EVs yet. We're not ready for this, that, and the other. The more I look at things, you know, she's had her car for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 weeks now. It has me looking. My van's due for a change, and it genuinely has me looking at the wee ID Buzz.
The Buzz, yeah.
Because I've seen a few modified ones of those there. It has me thinking, like, I'm still driving my X5. I still love my X5. But when I saw the show notes that you were going to be talking about the Lotus, I was like, okay, this is one thing that really does kind of...
It would suit you down to the ground, Ross. And do you know why? you're smiling or wincing because you could fit one of your wee V6, V8 sound boxes on it.
A wee bit like, I'll talk about it later on, but did you see that iconic 5N or the Ionic?
Yeah,
iconic,
does the gear changes and everything.
Gear changes now, and the noises that did you see the
Misha doing the Nürburgring in the Ionic 5N was absolutely astounding, and he said it's the most impressive thing EV's driven around there.
The noise that it was making by itself, and
pops and bangs mode,
like it's just.
I wonder, could you get it to do a noise if it's stolen when your wife drives it? Shots fired.
Shots fired. Sound of wheels curbing.
Oh.
Just on the Buzz there, I take it you saw the lease deals in those, ridiculously good.
Oh really?
They were super cheap recently. Like, what was it, 300 quid or something?
300 quid a month.
Yeah,
all in.
That's incredible.
I actually thought it would be a perfect car for you because they're funky looking. It would showcase your business well. Although you might want to modify it or something.
Yeah, I'll drop in a couple of photographs of one of the ones I was looking at. Some crowd over in Manchester, but 50 grand plus VAT for this crowd here to stick a body kit and a set of wheels on it, which I would prefer to do myself. But I saw it like at work. We've got solar at work, so like I'm charging for free at the minute. You know, even on a dullish day, it's still pulling 9 or 10 kilowatts an hour, and all these things are starting to kind of make sense. You know, I think the whole thing about EVs is you can make them fit what you're doing. They can work with you as opposed to you have to change your mindset about them.
Tell me this: if you have an ID Buzz or any kind of vehicle that size, and it's parked outside your business on a hot day, why can't it have a solar panel on the roof?
Absolutely.
So charging for 6 hours when you're at work.
Oh, don't wind me up. I'll tell you why. I had the Ionic 5, and it's not the Ultimate, it was the top of the range. They did like a first edition, like a Founders Edition, and it had a solar panel integrated into the panel roof. And in full sunlight, it would give you 1% for a full day.
Really?
So it's just pointless.
But then how do houses manage to run?
An array, and a house array is
just the size of the array.
Is physically much bigger. Like, I don't know what size of array you have. Mine's about 6 kilowatt.
It's pure the area.
Yeah, you need a big area. You know, like so. What size are my panels? About a meter by 2 meters, and that gives you 400.
Until they make smarter panels that can absorb more.
430 watts for a meter by 2, you know, which is bigger than the roof of the car. And you need to have, and we're Northern Ireland too.
You just need 10 ID buzzes.
So I need to be careful about talking about EVs just on balance. I have went all in. You know, I've went and bought solar as well, and we're charging for free at the moment. But that's all and went and bought an EV. But both of those are significant investment.
Yep.
I couldn't honestly say that. Well, I could say if we went and just bought a cheaper diesel, it would be just cheaper to run. Full stop.
Listen, there's no doubt about it.
It's the long game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the long game.
But the
because
reason
you've got your solar panels, and obviously you're kind of weighing that up against the EVs you have now, but you may have 4 or 5 EVs over the next 10 years or 15 years, and the solar panels will be paid off. And
yes, that is true.
You'll get your return then, but it's definitely the long game. You know, if you're just seeing EVs as a quick thing to jump into and save money and buying diesel and petrol, and I'll put on solar panels and I'll do this, and that'll be great.
I was going to
cost a few thousand.
I was in Iceland the other day, and not the
Reykjavik?
not the one that doesn't have as good northern lights as we do, but and there was there was a huge, it was like a 10-litre jar or whatever of sunflower oil or whatever. And I remember the days of boys used to run their like 205 straight diesels on chip fat and stuff like that. You know,
Maybe.
Home heating oil and half a litre of oil mixed in with like something like 10 litres of home heating oil.
Yeah,
just to lubricate the filter.
Exactly, that's
the job.
That sort of stuff. Yeah. So going EV isn't that, you know.
Yeah.
You could go and buy the cheapest Leaf in the country at $3,000 or $4,000, but it would probably just sicken you because it would probably only do about 40 miles.
You'd be suicidal, I think, after driving it.
Yeah. Now, Ross, you spotted a wee cheapy EV earlier on, did you?
Yeah, it fired up in one of the other WhatsApp chats.
Whose bots you talked to?
Yeah, sub 10 grand for
Tesla Model S 2017.
Is it radio controlled?
It's, but no, still within its battery warranty, still within everything else. Okay, there's 120,000 miles on it.
I thought some value,
but
yeah,
like
you're starting to see those cars with 200 on them.
Yeah,
you know they can do the good miles. But Gary, please save us. Please, let's talk about something other than EVs.
Oh, I do have a Tesla topic here, but I'll leave it until later. Then new M5 coming, another one.
Based on
how many is that now? There was the E34. Sorry, E28.
Yep,
was the first, wasn't it?
E28. Yep.
E34, E39,
E60, V10 with the
F10.
SMG3, F10. Yeah.
So there's been quite a lot.
And the is that the G series? Is it a facelift of the current car? Or
no, it's a brand new one. So it looks actually a bit like that. Well, I haven't seen photos of it. You've got the spy photos of all the weird graphics that they put on them that people see, and you can't really tell the body shape, but the rear lights certainly look like that new electric 5 Series.
The i5, yeah.
Very like that. So I'd imagine that's kind of the shape that they're going for. But apparently, first M5 with a hybrid engine. It's going to be 700 horsepower, 4-wheel drive, which I imagine will be the switchable X-Drive that they had before.
Yep.
So you can make it rear-wheel drive whenever you want. Wide arches for the first time, which is interesting because obviously the Audi competitor for the M5 has always been the RS6, and it's always been quite beefy looking, had the big arches and things, but the M5 has always been more understated, somewhat of an executive saloon, fast one. So they're actually going for big arches this time, and they're actually bringing out a touring version on the state. Direct competition for Audi, like really direct competition.
That's a very very astute observation that the wide arches and the touring factor.
Yeah. And I'm wondering then, will Audi counter with a saloon RS6 again, which they haven't made for a long time?
Haven't made in a long time.
No, because then they'll both have basically counterparts of each model.
I do think, going by the stats that Evo were stating a couple of things ago, that the M3 Touring has been outselling, well, all M3s, but also the Audi RS6 is not there because just it's a different car. And I think all reviews really do state about what a good driving thing it is.
Yeah, there was always that gap in BMW's M lineup. That Audi had the fast estates and BMW didn't.
I've driven the new M3 Touring. It is unbelievable, and it's. If I had the money as a daily, I wouldn't. Then an EV probably wouldn't get a look in if I could. Something
if
like that is just
perfect.
Yeah. Like it's and that violet colour. Did you see the SJ Davison sold one recently?
Techno violet or something like that.
I still love the Isle of Man green.
It is beautiful as well. Yeah.
So the new M5 looks interesting, and it's nice always to see a fast car coming out. Although I'm maybe a bit disappointed myself. That the thing I'm most kind of excited about is the cosmetics. Because the engine and the car itself, to me, it's more power, it's more weight. It's going to be heavier again. It's going to be slightly more powerful than the last one. It just feels like it's the same kind of approach every single time.
Well, it's the same engine or iterations of the same engine they've been using now since 2010 when the F10 M5 came out. This is that 4.4 V8 twin
pretty
turbo.
Strong engine, I think, but tuned up a little bit. And now they're putting on a 184 brake horsepower hybrid unit. They supplement it.
I wonder if you get a bit of range then on the plug-in part. But putting that electric motor in and batteries is going to add on 500 kilos.
It will do, yes. It's definitely going to be heavier. But that's a good point. That's the one thing you probably will see a good improvement in is your miles per gallon, just by having that. Because they're not cars that are easy to run, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a run in the last edition, remember, over in Birmingham.
That's right.
It was very impressive. Felt
That's
very quick.
The
Even
F90 M5, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a competition model, I think we were out on, but really, rapid.
Yeah. There's one of my customers. He's a Russian guy, Alex, from outside Bangor direction, and he's currently, his F90 M5 is the fastest, I think, in Europe, but it's certainly the fastest, like, private built.
Is that a chap would be fond of an occasional online video?
Yes. But he's done a lot of the dragging. Like, he's currently stage 3, over 1,000 horsepower. He done the drag day in Bishopscourt that day.
I've seen videos of that car. It is an animal.
It's stupid how quick it moves. It's frightening.
But say once they went with turbos and then with 4-wheel drive, like you could do ridiculous things with M5s.
Yeah, he just said like
NA models.
It's bonkers how quick it is.
Yeah.
The only car I think that beat him on the day was, remember the one Boydie was driving, which was the 911 Turbo S running meth, which was 900 something horsepower as well, I think.
Good day that.
Apparently so.
So, no, I saw that, and then I thought BMW are going a bit mad with their arches now. Isn't it the new 2 Series? Even the basic models have kind of quite boxy, large arches.
Do you know what? The regular
beefy looking.
The regular cooking 2 Series is nicer than the Halfords Rip Speed showing her age.
A 220i today, actually, and thought that same thing. It actually, the bumpers and the kit look better than the BM2.
But, you see, I have a problem with BMW styling, maybe and especially for the more modern stuff. I'm running close to the flipping the edge here, Ross, aren't I? Saying that, but no, let's talk XM.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not a pretty car.
It's
what are they doing? Like they're taking like Jack Daniels. They're doing like a red label or something like that. There,
do you know something? This shows the difference. So when Bruno was in looking for the iX, the XM was sitting there, and obviously you're interested in seeing. Inside it's fantastic. It's really cool, really futuristic, cool roof and everything else. But the outside is hideous. I do not know what they've done with it. It's just not a car you could like.
BMW were known for some of the most classic styling. There's Chris in RMS in his 2002, right?
What a car.
Well, how did BMW get from beautiful things like the Batmobile or the E28 or E30 M3, E46 M3,
the 31 8 Series.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this: that I think they take more chances than Audi and Jaguar and Lexus and all the competitors. Because Audis, if you look at Audis, the last 6 iterations of the A4, the A6, they're basically the same shape.
They have played it very, very
keep
safe.
Evolving, and they get smarter looking out there, but they've never taken any big chances. BMW had Chris Bangle, who came along, did the E60s. They were quite different looking before. Then a new designer after that, and so on. And they do take chances. It doesn't always work. Like, I've been critical of them at times, very critical.
I'm the same. We've all been critical.
At least they're not playing totally safe.
No. Looking at her iX is a prime example. It's a very Marmite car. You either like it or you don't. There was a lot of things that I did like about it. Now, at Dubshed, Maxton Design Rover. So I bought a full kit from Maxton Design.
I saw the photo of it. Looks fantastic.
Front and rear splitters, wee side skirt extensions, and a wee lip spoiler on the roof of it.
Yep.
And it's funny how £600 worth of plastic add-on has just changed the look of her car, and to a point now where, again, I just think it really has changed the look of it, and it's really
individualised it.
Yeah, it's just made it different. So it has.
I put a Maxton kit on my wee Yaris, and I just finish it off.
I think Gav done the same with his. Although I think he clipped his splitter it was running a wee bit too low.
I had two. I had the one with the curve at the front, and then I took a chunk out of it, so then I got the flat one. Yeah.
But I said Maxton again. This takes us back to doing what we're doing. We're all modifiers at heart. I remember do you remember the red Corolla?
Yes.
GR.
Yeah.
I love that sort of.
WRC.
Yeah, the WRC spec. Yeah. But do you know something, like, this is, like, we can't just leave things alone. Like, I'm running around an X5 with body kit on it. You've added stuff onto your M4.
Not much, but even just spacer stuff like that there.
Silly wee things and other. It's, I think when, again, I had a customer with me the other day, and Stephen is probably mid to late 60s. He's driving a nice Mercedes ML, but, he's asking me, he says, who would you find out? I'm looking for, say, 21s or 22s for it. So I pointed him in the direction of Tony Greenan, and then he said to me, he says, I'm looking for a bit of body kits and this, that and the other. But this is a guy mid 60s, and he's just has a wee bit of money about him.
Still into it.
And he still loves Every time I pull up to school, he does the pick up of his grandson when I'm lifting my brother from school, and my van rumbles in. He's like, "Could you get me one in there?"
No. so he knows what you're up to anyway.
He knows what I'm up to.
I think even if you don't go down the body kit route, I haven't seen a car on Earth that doesn't look better with a set of springs
with something on it. Yeah,
just those basics.
Yeah,
those two things always help them.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. No matter what. And some cars, they really help them.
Definitely. Well, it's, that leads on to the Ioniq 5N. The one that Misha drove. Even like they've got different wheels on it, different body kit. Everything was again on it. If you listen to what they're doing. Although, did you hear that whoever he's working with, they're going to try and design some downforce kits and that there for it, because he thinks he can make it go even faster around the ring. Although, did you see the other guy that was genuinely pretty by chance driving like a grey Ioniq 5N
in front of them? Yep.
That guy was going fucking
flying
flat out.
Absolutely.
I've seen bits and pieces about it, and I'm really curious about it. I think it looks fantastic. But I know they can alter the sound and various things like that there. Can actually alter the feel, the power delivery.
So they can. They can set it up like an 8-speed DCT, so it hits a limiter. Mm-hmm. So you can feed it gears. And they actually say when you're driving it on track, it's more natural because you have something to run up against.
But I remember reading this thing a few years ago when EVs were first kicking off and guys were selling the benefits of an EV, and one of the things they envisioned happening was that you could buy a performance EV 15 years down the line, and you could actually have various programs within it that you can click into so that it will simulate the noise and the feel and the gear shifts of a GTR Nissan, or an R32 Nissan, or an M4 or an M5 or something like that there.
Well, he touched briefly on that there. So the first lap he done was using the flappy paddles and using the gears, and the second lap he didn't do that there because he said even though you're kind of more used to it, the torque controls and torque curves are very different. So he literally just left it into normal one gear mode, and it was just, again, the noise that it was making, and it was amazing. So it was, but as he said, when you're driving them, you kind of just get used to letting it do itself instead of you having to control the gears and everything else as well. It was, and then the guy in the grey one, so he was in whatever track plus mode or something, and the other guy was in like full on race mode, and you could see even, and what are they, Andy, 600 and something horsepower, aren't they?
640 or something like that.
Even though Misha was driving on like the full race program, the guy in the other one was out accelerating him coming out of every corner, even though he was hooning it sideways and everything, because he had his set up that he was going for more of a drag thing. It was just
here, you were talking about, Gary, about BMW being ballsy with their design moves. How ballsy were Hyundai saying, well, do you know what, we think we can come up with the ultimate performance EV, and we're going to put paddles in it and make it pretend like it's an 8-speed paddle shift, and we're going to pops and bangs mode, and we're going to have a drift mode, and all the rest. If you read that on paper, you're going to make it like an 8-speed, and you're going to have fake exhaust noise, pops and bangs. Like, are you making this for children? Then they made it, and it's brilliant.
But to me, that's one of the first EVs I've read about that I just really want to go and test drive, just to try. Can't buy one, but I'd just love to try one. And I think that's part of the appeal now, is do stuff like this, make them interesting, make them fun. Don't just have them, here's your range, and it does this, and it's got games within it, like a Tesla has on the screen. Have it do kind of interesting things for car nerds.
Yeah.
And that's what will draw people in.
All right, come on, we need to get off EVs. I know we're going to come back to it.
We do.
They're taking over.
Someone else, please save us.
Well, I'm not talking about Misha's other car then, because I don't even want to get you started on the RSGR. But there was, in one of the videos he put up last week, he was driving a supercharged E46 M3, and he was praising its laurels about what a nice handling car was, what a nice drive, and how linear. And as he's fucking bombing down, these two pricks in Yaris's went past
just drove past him.
Just like he was fucking stopped. So he got speaking to them afterwards. And obviously they were heavily track prepared Yaris's, so they were both still road cars, but heavily prepared. And then he took them out for a drive, and he himself was just blown away by what they were doing. So it was just funny that he was out on a brilliant lap in a brilliant car and singing the virtues of it, and these two fucking 3-cylinder squealing bastards went past. But that's all I'm saying about it. Nothing better or anything. So we don't want to get you talking about your Yaris again.
Anytime I see a GR, I'm like, I wish I still had it.
And they've that new one out.
Yeah, with the weird dash and all, but supposedly a better thing.
Bit more power, haven't they? Slightly
yeah, 300 horse. Yeah.
You're talking about weird noises. I saw the first one, and this is honestly one of the last things I'm saying about EVs. But have you seen the BYDs yet? Have you?
Like the seal and the
so
dolphin.
I couldn't even tell you what model it was, but the guys over beside me in work do a lot of
Orca. I don't know what
they do a lot of electronics and they do automation and blah 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 blah. And one of the girls who works with them drove in this BYD, and you can kind of get it. Like again, it's just it for me is what just a typical run of the mill factory EV car is.
Generic electric from China.
Generic electric from China.
Is it bid or bide?
Fuck, I don't even.
It's BYD. Do you know what it stands for?
I did just say BYD.
Build your dreams. And I shit you not, that's what it stands for.
But you just say the letters like BMW. No one goes BMW.
I know. No, I know. It goes like BMW.
But they make the weirdest noise. You see the way that some EVs, when they're reversing, they start making weird noises. Mm-hmm. This thing, when it's driving all the time, just makes this really weird. I think it would drive you to distraction.
Oh, really?
So it's obviously for pedestrian safety or whatever else to let people know they're there. But it was
Send me
rare.
out the Yaris,
and door pockets and that there. They don't have traditional door pockets. They've got
is that the guitars?
Fucking bungee cord and stuff
Oh,
like that.
you can play them like a guitar.
Yeah. Strange things. But again, they really are just run of the mill, churned out of a factory. There you go.
Cheap and cheerful.
I had said I wasn't doing anything, but I'm going to. I got on the pre-registration list, and Tesla are running the Cybertruck. It's doing a whole tour of Europe, so it is.
Oh, really?
So they're due over start of June 7th to 9th or something like that there. So
I've never seen a vehicle gets more Marmite division.
Yeah.
Love or hate. Like
I'm
reading
just
on
interested
social media.
in seeing one because, you know, they're things. So Rennis wants to come down with me. Pete thinks he's barred from Tesla after chucking in 2 Teslas and he done better than they did out of it. But I'm just really interested to see kind of what the hype is about and, you know.
Oh, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Forget about the buzz.
Yeah. Just go down.
Well, I did the same thing. I went on the Model S Plaid.
Yeah.
Day at Nuts Corner. Mm-hmm. And that thing's just serious.
Yeah.
Absolutely serious. Shame we can't get them. Well, you can get a left-hand drive one.
Yeah.
But
and then you're really stuck with it.
Yeah. Super Last Owners Club. Speaking of the Last Owners Club, I still have my C63. It is up for sale. It's been up for sale for now more than a mere moment. So I was going to put that up on eBay. I was typing up the ad. And you put in the ad, you know, service, when it was last MOT and all this. And I was like, when was MOT history? Blah, blah. I couldn't be arsed moving from one room to another, so I just went on the MOT history checker. Mm-hmm. Big red box comes up. This car has no MOT. What? So I then go back and search for the check vehicle tax. Uh-huh. Tax and MOT there, 2 green boxes, because the car was MOT'd, I think I MOT'd it in March. So fairly recent. And then I say, go back to the history screen. It's like, no, the car's due MOT 2024. It's like, no, it's definitely not. And then I thought, maybe it's under the reg, the private plate, right? Yeah. Rather than the plate, because I take my private plate off. My private plate was on the R, so I put private plate in OAZ that it was on to see if it brought up. And it said Yaris. And I haven't owned the Yaris for a year. And I know that is in a certificate in my drawer at home, that plate. So they've made the DVLA or whoever it is, have made an enormous balls up of my transfer.
No. Not those civil servants, hard-working critters.
So, but you imagine if you're, like, this is a car that could probably go anywhere in England or France or who knows where it goes, because it is quite an oddball thing. People most usually want a C220D, not a C63. So, but imagine you're sitting at home, you're on Auto Trader doing the flick through, as we all do.
Yep.
And you look at it and go, flip, that looks nice. I'll just stick it in the MOT history check. Your man says it's MOT. I'm sure it's not.
Cat S as well.
and then sure, he has a picture of it with a different reg. Oh, it's a Yaris. Flip, I'll just take that off my favourites list. So I was raging. So I have been speaking to Coleraine. I spoke to emailed DVLA first of all, and they're like, that's nothing to do with us, sir. Go and speak to Coleraine. So you speak to Coleraine, and you know what Coleraine say? Oh, we don't do that here anymore. We haven't done that since flipping 1974. And so then you go. There's the DVSA as well. There's the as well. So I spoke to them, and eventually got speaking to someone that quite sensible there. And I said, look, this is wrong. And he says, right, leave it with us. And that was about a couple of weeks ago. It still hasn't changed. It's still wrong on the website. And then I got a call today from locally.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you if it was DVSA, DVA, MOT, Coleraine, but not that Coleraine. Whatever office it is. And you know what? 90% of the conversation was, sure, it's fine. That's what you do when you look things up. And I was like, no, but if someone clicks MOT history and gets a big red box,
yeah,
you
wouldn't look yourself.
Exactly. And he said, but it's fine on the other screen. And I'm like, no, but you don't understand.
And what about, have you checked on that Ask Mid, the motor insurance database? What is showing up on that? I've just opened another can of worms for you, have I?
All these poor thieves driving about being blamed for cloning plates.
AskMid.com.
Oh, I think the car's insured. Like, I would like to hope so, but
I know, but it goes by the number plates as well normally.
You think maybe it's. Well, you see, I'm not going to do it right on the podcast because me checking if my car's insured on the podcast is not really something good to listen to when someone's cruising down.
Everybody else in the podcast is going to go and look at it now.
Well, it just so happens that website's being very slow.
Well, there you go.
So we'll come back to that. We'll maybe get an answer. Oh, it's just loaded.
It's frustrating though, as I said earlier. I had an issue recently where I had a ring about a rage, and you get passed from one person to the next department to the next department. 8 calls later, you're talking to somebody in the fucking CIA.
I know.
Yeah. Do you know something though? It's much the same as the shambles that is the MOT and everything else. It's just it could be fixed really easily with people. Like, again, I think we
Sorry, I'm just going to turn the laptop around here. Is showing is insured today.
Well, that's good. And does it show it has the right car?
Yes, it does have the right car.
So there you go. There's something. So the motor insurance database communicates with the MOT, and so they've got it right in some end, but yet all the computers don't converge together.
What has happened is, there's 4 or 5 different organisations here, and there's 4 or 5 different systems talking to each other. Something's fallen over in between, and no one knows who's at fault, who deals with it. That's their data. You're talking to people in customer services teams who have no idea, in reality, how these things talk to each other.
Couldn't care less.
I'm going to sneak into your house and put a C180D badge in the back just to really fuck around with your mate.
So I've had to deal with that, but I did get talking to a nice gentleman who is an expat and lives in France and is interested in the car. Who knows if that is actually going to happen? A deposit hasn't hit my account yet. But anyway, we'll see. So it's still for sale. But do you know one thing is, now that I know the car's going, and it will go eventually, is that I am enjoying it 10 times more, because I'm like, this is probably the last. It doesn't have to be the last V8, but it certainly will be my last V8 daily driver for sure. And I was in Donegal earlier today, and did Donegal and back, and it was just wonderful, just bubbling,
just a nice
burbling along up.
Muncher.
Aye, hard to beat, but yes. Getting a wee bit pissed off. I need to get this online stuff sorted out. So I would like it if someone works there, reach out, sort it out, please.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Be interesting.
But I'm convinced they have 4 staff, and that's it.
And one of those wee critters who comes in a couple of days a week.
But anytime you ring, it's all automated. It's like most of these companies now, everything is press 1, press 2, press 4, and then it's voice recognition.
Voice recognition things are terrible.
Drives you nuts, doesn't it?
Hey, you told us about your V8.
Human.
Tell me about your V12 that you drove.
Yes, I did take a wee squirt in a Purosangue. Fairly fortunate to have driven now many of the modern Ferraris, which is just lovely.
Was this anything to do with the owner of the 812 that you drove previously?
Yes,
by any chance?
Indeed. And
I thought as much.
So shout out to that crazy gentleman for that
serial Ferrari buyer.
Well, but also a proper one of us.
Yeah.
Just
car nut,
just the car nut, and knows I am the same. Yeah, so that's a very interesting car. Well, it would need to be, wouldn't it, at 300 grand? Normally aspirated, still termed mid-engine, because if you open the engine bay, one of those, the block sits right behind the front axle. They've got it really up into it's nearly up into the dash, and I was like, oh, this is going to sound class. You just look at it.
When you look at them actually side on, they're a strange shape, and not in a bad way. I quite like the look, but they're very reminiscent of that 60s long bonnet, a lot going on at the back.
Yeah,
I think it almost seems like the E-type kind of profile. Obviously, it's raised up and all there, but it's like not your typical SUV shape.
No, it's like the Ferrari bread van on steroids.
Yeah, it is. And then of course you look around it, and there's loads of carbon fibre and loads of visual interest. There's nothing like looking at a Ferrari engine bay, because you have those red crackle rocker covers. I always love looking at a milled Ferrari oil cap. They're the most beautiful. I just buy one and look at it in the house. They're just
it's just £800 for an oil cap,
probably. And no, it's just the most stunningly put together thing. Beautiful inside, but also still very much Ferrari. So it's that V12 is in a lot of their other cars. Yes, it doesn't rev out to 9,500 RPM like some of them do, but still revs out to $8,000, and still incredibly fast, but very comfortable. All the same Ferrari type stuff, like everything's on the steering wheel, which Tesla have tried to go with, by the way, putting the indicators on. Ferrari were there first, I have to say, and although you do get used to it, I'd far rather have a stock on a Ferrari and on a Model 3.
TVR might have been there before them. Remember, they had the horn buttons and everything, and the indicator buttons on the steering wheel.
They must have had a deal, right? We've bought 10,000 buttons here. We just need to flip and stick them everywhere. I remember Phil Delgetti, I was in one of his TVRs, and he's like, right, get out. And I was like, there's no door handle here. So it's obviously a solenoid control thing. And I don't know, is it on the center console, or I don't know where it is.
The Cerbera had the buttons. You know, remember that? I was in the Cerbera.
The
button to open.
Yeah, I think
on the mirror, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it wanted I couldn't get. Was the window up and I didn't have the keys, or I don't know what it was, but I couldn't get to the. Because I knew they have the button on the wing mirror, but
her IX is the same. It's got no physical door handle still. If there's a button on the thing, it's cool.
It reminds me of the modification days.
Yeah,
my brother had a 306, and you smoothed the boot and then put on the solenoid.
Yep, that's right.
It was great until the solenoid failed.
Get the pawn out. So no, the Purosangue way. Do you know what? You can bring the family, you can bring the wee ones in the back, and everyone gets to experience 8,000 RPM out of a gloriously singing V12. You know, so it is something special if you have all the other special toys already, which you know, some people are very fortunate to have, you know, and like everyone's going that way. But interestingly, Ferrari haven't went and put all electrics into it. They don't seem to care about that. They just seem to care about doing the last of many things that they plan to do.
Good for them, especially V12s. V12s are just amazing engines, no matter what they're used in. Like if no one's ever driven a V12, I'd strongly urge you to go and have a driving one. They just always feel special. I think from a Ferrari right down to like a $6,000 750 that you can buy now off Auto Trader. You know, the old one. They're just great engines.
It's a Vantage V12 or something like that. A sweet spot,
smoothness and sound and everything else.
Everything.
Yeah. So no, it was cracker. But look, that's me done with my driving over the last while. Pretty good turn.
Yeah, it's not a boring few weeks from the sounds of things.
Gary, you didn't have as much luck with your M4 recently.
No, I had a new windscreen needed. Got a crack in the window. I had a guy over from England help me on a project, and we phoned a local taxi firm to get into the airport to go back, and they didn't turn up. And they had an hour until his flight, so I said, right, jump in the M4 and I'll take you out to City Airport, just so you don't miss your flight.
And he smashed your window?
No, he didn't touch the window.
he knuckled it?
Stole my money. Get me down there. So, dropped him off, was heading back, and of course there was a lorry in front of me and threw up a massive rock and just cracked it immediately.
Joking.
I was more concerned actually about the paintwork, because cracked one was bad enough, but you don't want your bonnet dented and your roof and everything else, especially in that car with a carbon roof. So I got out and checked it. Unfortunately, it was just the window. It must have just bounced off and missed the paintwork. But still cracked window.
Pain in the ass, but actually lucky. Did you get it replaced then?
Not yet, because I'm on my family have a trader's policy for the business, so I'm on that there, and it's not just as straightforward as normal insurance. You don't just have a thing covering your windscreen. So
you don't have Gavin from Autoglass injecting his resin into your crack?
No, resin wouldn't sort this. So I will get it sorted.
Windscrreen anyway.
I'll get it sorted, but it's a bit of a pain because my car is the head-up display, so you can't just go for the standard window. It has to have a laminate on the inside.
On the inside.
And I've heard horror stories on the Facebook pages for the M4 Owners Club of guys getting third-party windows, non-BMW ones, and then the head-up display doesn't project properly, or it's kind of blurry, or stuff like that there. So
you'll be cruising about like one of those Mark 6 Golfs that lives near me, full of the rake on the deck with the reflective windscreen that just looks terrible.
I hate them.
Looks awful.
Yeah.
Especially once they're really strong effects on them, like you can't see the person inside at all.
Bronze,
horrendous.
So yeah, need a window, but fortunate I don't need a new roof skin or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Could be worse if it hit the paintwork. Really brutal.
Yeah.
There's another guy. He drives for DHL. Really cool guy. So he is a customer of mine as well. But he's at a point now with his M3 where whoever the previous owner was has basically fucked up the lacquer on the carbon roof, and he's at a point now where he's considering getting the whole thing painted, because they've tried to fix it a couple of times, but they've basically said that the only way we can fix your carbon roof is to rub the whole thing down and paint it now. So
I've heard it before, it's really hard to get them right.
Yeah, it just and he's
it's all or nothing.
Got it because like he didn't buy the car new.
How do you sell that? It's a difficult one. Like.
It's like, so if there's any of our listeners know how to fix a carbon roof, he's looking at any options before he just goes and unfortunately has to get it rubbed down and painted black, which he really does want to do, because then it's no different than having it wrapped or having a painted roof. It's going to do away with what makes it special. But like that would have been a nightmare, guy. Thank God it's just the windscreen.
Yeah. The bonnet or the wing getting a bit of a dent or a knock, fair enough, you can go and get it painted and fixed, but carbon roof would be a scary one for me.
Very
it's
different.
not easy to replace, it's not easy to fix at all.
No, funnily enough, when I was getting the Lotus, it was getting PPF, and as I was advised, the guy's complete car care, Darren was saying, he says, he's like, you need to do your roof, and I was like, I didn't need to do your roof, and he's like, no, swirls and all. He said, we have a couple of these, swirls and damage, because it's like a gel coat on the roof. He says, we're just doing it. It just has to be done.
Probably makes sense, at the end of the day, because as you said, like the PPF and that there can be fixed and can be, removed and another one put down. But
But something like that was not easy paint, and then it's on fiberglass and all the rest, pain in the ass.
Even bird poo on the roof.
Exactly. Something like that.
Never made rocks or damage.
Eat into the paint, or eat into the carbon fibre, But
like usually, I imagine most of us wash it off when you see it. But if you're at the airport for 2 weeks or something out there, and you come back and some bird sat on it, and it's first day, and you've had 2 weeks of acid eating into it,
cooking into it,
We've got a couple of minutes left, Gary. I think you're going to have a kick at Musk here.
Yes, you've probably all heard about this. The Tesla layoffs. He's laying loads of people off. 10% of their workforce apparently was the target. So that's 14,000 staff out of 140,000 worldwide. Now looking at 20%, and this is purely because sales are dropping, the profits are down 55%. I don't know if that's just Tesla. I think EV sales are down everywhere.
Yeah,
for whatever reason. Maybe it's just more competition in the market and so on, and every competitor's dropping a little bit. But I think the likes of the BYD that you're telling me there, they're probably making a bit of a dent now in things, because EVs have been quite expensive up until this year, and now we're starting to see budget EVs and cheaper ones coming in.
Well, like 20% drop in staff is brutal if you're in the firing line. But in terms of Musk, like, he has formed for this. What percentage? Was it 40-50% of Twitter? He just came in and said, "Yep." He literally went and let that sink in. Did you see the picture of him with the sink?
And when I heard it, I initially thought he's hardcore, and he just sacks people that are needed. But then me and you both read his book, and his argument would be different. His argument is that he's come into these places and there's too many staff. There's 6 people doing the job that 2 people could do. So he gets rid of wastage and redundancy, and that's what he's looking at. So, although
I do wonder, is he the sort of person that he expects everyone to operate at the same level as him?
And
no one operates at his level.
Expects everyone to be at 200% all the time.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to the podcast? He's done a few Joe Rogan podcasts. He's done a few other, and he's actually really interesting to listen to, because he actually, whilst he
also sounds a bit nuts.
I think he's completely batshit bonkers.
He thinks about every question before he answers. He never just says anything, or just silence for a few seconds, and he composes his answer in his head.
He has the spinner comes up in his eyes, and it's like he's buffering. He's like trying to tether your phone and watch a bit of Netflix.
You get the VR glass in front of you.
Exactly. It's like my our Jaguar infotainment system. It's a wee bit laggy since it got its latest updates.
You're waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. Once CarPlay loaded, you're all good. You know,
you're all good. But it's waiting for CarPlay. Do you remember the paperclip used to be in Windows like 95%?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if Tesla turning things around. They do have that revised Model 3 coming out, and then they have their sports car still meant to be on the way. Mm-hmm. Cybertruck has been released now. I don't know how well it's doing, but as I was saying earlier, it's strange reading the reactions online because people seem to either love it or hate it. There's no in between.
Yeah.
They just think it looks ridiculous, or they love the kind of outlandish nature of it.
Look, it's one of those cars. I don't think it really matters because it's not the bread and butter. I think what will be bread and butter for, they can do this for spectacle. It's like the sports car. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really even need to do it.
No.
He just likes doing mad stuff like that. Yeah. They're bringing out a Model 2, isn't that right? And I think it's going to be the first under $30,000 when it comes out. Or they're trying to make it really really cheap. But he might bring out more price cuts and really put pressure on. And then if that happens, the entire EV market will get another flipping kick in the balls because he did it last time. But brutal. He's a brutal guy, like.
But he's effective. He gets results.
His book is fantastic. The Walter Isaacson book, Musk, is well worth read. But look, there's episode 35. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Ross, Gary, thanks very much. Great to see you again.
Thank you as always.
Good to be
here. And remember to like and subscribe. And also, there ain't no warranty. Just sold a sing.
There's no MOT either.